Hello, here's the latest project I'm working on. It is a nearly 100% all original 1943 World War II era Gravely Model L. I bought this last weekend as a parts machine for another war era machine I'm working on because I noticed in the photos it had the exhaust I was looking for. I figured maybe it was a late 40s machine looking at the photo. I was kind of surprised when I got there and realized exactly what it was, so I went ahead and bought it. And I'm going to restore this one. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the more updated 43 that I've got. But first thing you'll notice right off the bat is it's the original war era machines had cast iron wheels on them, not regular wheels and rubber tires. Reason for that is starting, once the war started, things like rubber, aluminum, copper, brass were all rationed for the war effort. Because Gravely was making garden tractors and the government had a big push for people to plant what they called victory gardens, they allowed Gravely to continue manufacturing during the war instead of switching them over to making things for the military. But they had to adapt their designs to get rid of the things that were being rationed. So one of the big things that happened is they went to solid cast iron wheels instead of rubber tires. I can probably find a set of those pretty easily. So that's really what makes these war era machines unique, is that all of the normal aluminum, rubber, and brass and copper were switched out to cast iron, steel, and the ID tags were tin. Let's take a walk around and see the good things and the bad things on this machine. First bad thing you're going to notice is this hood is really bent up. It's twisted. You can tell it's all bent down the edges. I'm not 100% sure that I can get that to where it's going to look nice. If I can't, I've got another one I can use. The only real update I've seen on this machine is that it was switched over to a spin-on oil filter. I've got the original canister style, so I can swap that out without a problem. You can tell it's still got the original Edison split door magneto. I took that out, cleaned it up, set the points on it, and it's firing up really nice now. It's got the original air intake, and you'll notice these are usually aluminum, but during the war, they had to make them out of cast iron. So that's original. And the filter mount is original too. If you don't have these, they're almost impossible to find because they only made them for about 3 years. They started implementing them, I think, in 42 when they ran out of aluminum, and they stopped in 45. I pulled the head off of this thing earlier to look at the cylinder, and it's still got a standard piston in it. There's not much side-to-side movement in the piston. The cylinder wall looks fantastic, and I'm not seeing the normal signs of an oil burner on it. There's not a bunch of oil and carbon caked around the exhaust side. When we get around to the exhaust, there's really no soot on the pipe. So I'm going to try to start this thing, hopefully today, and if it doesn't burn oil and it runs good, then I know I'm not going to have to put new piston rings in it. If I do, worst case scenario, I can put standard rings in it, hone the cylinder, and it'll be good to go. Everything still turns nice on the carburetor, throttle, the choke, and everything works good. When I go to start it, I'm going to switch this carb out for the one on my 55 that I restored, because I know that carburetor works good. I'll just put it on there as a test. Now, it's still got the original pulley on it. The thing about these early ones is they've got an ID number right there, or not an ID number, a casting number. Now, unfortunately, this one's also got 2 brakes on it, but I've got a later one that doesn't have that casting number on. I can switch out until I find a more period correct one. I'm told this is the original exhaust, or at least a period correct exhaust, because it's got these spot welds down it as opposed to later reproductions. And I've seen these on tractors before at auctions. They've always got holes in them, or the pipe is loose. There are no holes anywhere in this muffler. This pipe is nice and tight. That exhaust was a great find. The forward reverse, it's nice and tight. I bet that clutch is in really good shape. The high-low, it's got a lot of movement in it, so I'll know when I get it started how well that clutch works. looks like the previous owner at some point did a nice bending job in this rod. Now, originally, from what I've seen, these high-low rods, they had a downward bend, so they'd come across the top of the exhaust and then drop down. But I'm guessing that the gentleman who used to have this was kind of on the shorter side, because the handlebars are all the way down, which is maybe why he had to bend this out and around. And one thing that these forward reverse are notorious for is for hitting this bolt here. So it looks like he put a slight outward bend in it to clear that, which was pretty clever. I may just leave these alone instead of putting correct straight and bent ones on there, just because they're kind of neat. So when I got this, I thought that there might be an axle seal leak, because there's a lot of oil down here. I haven't even cleaned this thing up yet. And then I noticed that, you may not be able to see it, but this little fitting here is split. So I know that was where that oil was leaking from. So what I'm gonna do, hopefully today or in the next few days, is I'm gonna replace that oil fitting, put the carburetor for my 55 on there, clean the tank, put some fresh gas in it, put a new spark plug in it. I'm gonna try to get this thing started and see how it runs. And that'll let me know how far I need to get into that engine. I will take the top end off. I'm gonna completely strip everything, clean the rust off everything, repaint it. It's gonna look, hopefully, factory new when I'm done with it. So thanks for watching, and I will keep everybody updated as we go along.